بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. Welcome my dear secondary year 2 Riyadh Salihin students. I am Kamal Ahmed and this is a new listening class. In today's lesson we're going to listen to two people speaking together and we need to figure out how related they are. Are they brothers, friends or just strangers?
You better have your eyes checked if you don't want to get into serious trouble.
Yes, I know. They feel all dry and puffy.
Have you been sleeping well?
As well as possible. I've been staying up trying to finish my project and spending a lot of time in front of the computer.
Do you take breaks? You need to take a break every hour.
I'd never get to the end of it that way.
Well, you won't have the eyesight you need to get to the end of it if you don't have breaks. Another reason for taking breaks is to prevent damage to your back from endless hours of sitting at your desk.
But I'm young. Older people tend to have back problems.
You're wrong there. People can cause themselves damage at any age. What has saved you so far is the fact that you work out and do sports.
Yes, my parents have said the same thing.
Okay. Now, after this recording, do you think those people are strangers or friends? I can say they are friends. But a student might ask me, why do you believe so? Why do you think they are friends, Kamal? And my answer to you is, from the tone, from the familiar tone of the conversation, yes, from the informal style of language, okay, people who advise each other in such a way aren't strangers. They are friends. And can they be brothers? Yes, they can. So, they can be anything but strangers. Don't you think I am right? That's good. So, from the familiar, from the informal tone of the conversation, from the advice between them, we can figure out they are brothers or friends, but they are not strangers by no means. Anyway, that's good. Now, what are they talking about? What's the older one advising the young man? What is he advising him to do? Exactly. He's advising him to take breaks and not to sit in front of the computer monitor for long hours. And why is that? So that his eyesight is not affected. Yes. And how positive, okay, is the young man? Does he understand? Does he appreciate the older man's piece of advice? Yes, he does. Right. He listens well to him and he promises, okay, to become more aware of his health, especially his eyesight. That's okay. Well, out of this conversation, we get new language functions that we need to know. How can we advise people? How can we advise people? We can offer advice in different ways. One of the advising styles is, you had better have your eyes checked. You had better. You had better study hard or you won't get the full marks. This style is not used between strangers. This is an informal way of giving advice. You had better have your eyes checked. You should be kind to elderly people. Another form of advice is the use of modal verbs like should. You should be kind to elderly people. You should make the best use of your time. What should you do? Can you tell me? Should you be kind to everyone? Should we be punctual in our work? In fact, we should be punctual all the time. Other than advice, we get to know how to warn other people from doing something. Warning means to say that, oh, stop there, don't do it, or you will harm yourself. You had better finish your project on time if you don't want any trouble. Now this is somehow warning. What would happen if he didn't finish his project on time? He would get himself into trouble. You had better finish your project on time if you don't want any trouble. You won't get full marks if you don't work hard. You won't get full marks if you don't work hard. So this is a warning. Unless you work hard, you won't get the full marks. Be careful. Now, my dear students, I give you a couple of minutes to think of these scrambled sentences. And we just need to unscramble them. How ready are you? Take your time, and when you decide, just tell me. Okay. Number one, we have better, had, to bed, you, early, go. We know that in our English sentences. How do we start? If it is a statement, we start with the subject. The subject is the doer of the action. So, in this kind of example, we say, what do you think? You had better go to bed early. You are right there. Well done. What about the number two? Shouldn't time waste you any? How can we start it? Exactly. You. This is a piece of advice as well. You shouldn't waste any time. Wonderful. The third one, want, don't, get slim, listen, you, intake of carbohydrates, if, your. Could you figure this out? Exactly, you are right there. We would say here, you want what? You won't get slim if you don't listen your intake of carbohydrates. Again, you won't get slim if you don't listen your intake of carbohydrates. The answers are okay. Let's have a look. You had better go to bed early. You shouldn't waste any time. You won't get slim if you don't listen your intake of carbohydrates. That's right. As you can see, these are styles of advice and warning. My dear students, thank you so much for being with me today. Hopefully you grasped the content of the lesson, and I just want you to practice reading the conversation so that you become good at reading. Thank you again, and wait for me in other classes. Goodbye.